Today I choose to follow you.
Good morning. This is Tuesday, the 10th of May, and it's Coffee with God. I've got an awesome cup of coffee with great creamer here this morning. Nice strong cup of coffee as well. Trust that you have. If you have your Bibles, turn to Psalm 35, verse 1. Psalm 35, vers 1. Kan dalk vers 2 wees in die Afrikaans, maar let's read it together. Contend, O Lord, with those who contend with me. Another way to say that is fight against those who fight against me. Contend against those who contend against me. Fight against those who fight against me. Now, one of the greatest lines, I think, in Braveheart is where Braveheart has his 2 or 3 friends, and the Scots army is lined up, and his friends are in the front line of the army, and the English representative and the English army is on the other side of the field, and Braveheart says to his 3 companions, prepare for a battle, prepare to fight. And they say to him, what are you going to do? And he says, I'm going to go pick a fight. And then he rides out and puts impossible demands, ridiculous demands to the English army that obviously will lead to a fight. You have to be in a fight, or you have to be willing to pick a fight if you're going to ask the Lord to contend with those who contend against you and to fight against those who will fight against you. When I think of picking a fight with someone, then obviously I think of Moses. What a great example of someone sent by the Lord to take on a whole nation, not just a nation, the strongest, most powerful nation in the world at that time. And he goes down to Egypt and he picks a fight with the Pharaoh 10 times. He dares the Pharaoh to let God's people go. And they were in slavery. They were in bondage. They were in need of a hero to come and set them free. And we know that eventually Pharaoh decides to let them go. And then they leave Egypt and they're busy moving out. And you can imagine how busy it was for Moses to control 1,200,000 people in an exodus, children, women, keeping that many women happy and saying we're going to go into a desert place where there's no shops for the next 40 years. Imagine. But then also taking all these men and organizing the logistics of moving a nation out of a country. Incredibly busy, difficult times. And then they come to the Red Sea. And then they get word that the Pharaoh, the king and his best charioteers are coming down upon them to put them to death. And listen to Exodus chapter 14 from verse 13. But Moses said to the people, do not fear. Stand by and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, you will never see them again forever. The Lord will fight for you while you keep silent. Isn't that amazing? But again, I want to stress the point. The Lord is our refuge. The Lord is our, hy is ons toevlug. Hy is ons vesting. Hy is ons veiligheid. Ons moet na hom toe hardloop. Hy sal vir ons veg. Hy sal vir ons opkom. Hy sal ons verdedig. Al daai goed. Maar hy sal vir ons fight. Gaan ons 'n fight pick? Will we be worthy of fighting for? Will we go into this day and find the lost, the least, and the lonely? Will we actually see people who are in need of somebody to stand up for them and to make a difference? Moses put himself into that fight out of obedience to God. And unfortunately today, a generation ago, men would stand up for the church. Men would stand up for faith. Men would stand up for that which they believe in. Today we see it less and less and less. Men will stand up for themselves. Men will stand up for their families, but they won't stand up for something bigger than just their own gain and their own selfishness. It's very difficult to find someone who'd be willing to go into a foreign country and stand up for a servant slave nation. And what about you? What about where you serve? What about where you're in the church? Is it the pastor's job and his alone to carry the torch and carry the banner? Or is it time that men stood up and allowed themselves to be counted? Men who would look at what they've got in their hands and in quiet faith and absolute belief in the ability of God to contend against those who contend against me, to fight against those who would fight against me, and stand up for your faith, stand up in the workplace, stand up for what you believe in, and do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do. Unfortunately, a lot of the stories that one hears today are of men and women who fight for what they want, not for what's good for others. They're not, like Moses, able to say, do not fear, do not fear. Stand still and see the salvation of God in this situation. May that be a challenge for you today. May you be challenged by that. And maybe you need a cup of coffee just to get that challenge in. If you want to chat to me, if you want to come and have a cup of coffee with me, I've always got coffee to spare. Bring your own tea in a flask if you want tea, but I've got coffee if you want to have a decent cup of coffee with me. Let's chat about standing up for what you believe in. Have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday.